Hey there guys, I'm John Campea. Thanks for visiting my YouTube channel, and this is a special user-submitted question. Now, every day on the John Campea Show, Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, we take live questions, but every once in a while, somebody sends in like a tip of like $50 or more, and when they do that, which doesn't happen often, but when they do, I like to honor that by not only answering the question in the show, but I also like to make it its own standalone video, so let's get right to it. And this one comes to us from Leo, who writes, "Hi, John and Rob. In these times of man-made racial division, and since you love Shaolin soccer, I was wondering if you could talk about your experience with Eastern films and how it's influenced you. Thanks, and bring on the filthy." All right, thanks a lot for saying that in, Leo. And yeah, Leo sent that in on a day that I can't remember how or why Stephen Chow came up in the conversation, but I think we were talking a little bit about Kung Fu Hustle, and I said, listen, Kung Fu Hustle is great. I like Kung Fu Hustle a lot. But Shaolin Soccer to me is like one of the most enjoyable films of that entire genre. There's just something so, not only is it fun to watch and great visual effects for its time and for its budget. It's actually insanely good for its time and for its budget, but also unbelievably charming and incredibly hilarious at the same time. Now look, I'm not going to pretend that I know everything about Eastern film. You know, I've got a friend of mine, Todd Brown, who started twitchfilm.net a long time ago, knows I know a lot of friends who know a lot more about Eastern film than I do. And you know, it wasn't even until later in my movie loving life that I came to really get to know and appreciate like films like Ju-On or The Host or Infernal Affairs, which also not only is like my favorite film, maybe my favorite Asian film ever made, it's also like my favorite cop film ever made. And it, of course, is the film that Marty Scorsese went on to remake into The Departed, which won Best Picture of the Academy Awards and got Marty Scorsese his first Director of the Year award. But even before that, and this is going to sound insanely stereotypical, but there's a lot of truth to this. Like a lot of kids of my generation, I grew up on watching a lot of Kung Fu cinema on television, on reruns on the weird little networks on television, on the kind of the local stations that would play like on the weekends, they'd play like Kung Fu movies. And what I didn't even know at the time, and I think this is true of a lot of us as film fans, like we think we're just watching it for the awesome fighting, right? And yeah, like you go into like my all-time favorite Kung Fu movie, not Shaolin Soccer, Kung Fu versus Llama. Kung Fu versus Llama is my all-time favorite one, and if you know it, good on you for knowing that film. But as we were watching films like that, I think we were not only getting all this great Kung Fu action that we ate up as kids, but I think even subconsciously, we were learning about some of the main staples in a lot of the greatest films of all time. When you look at Kung Fu movies, at their heart, besides the action, you have deep themes of loyalty, of friendship, of betrayal, of revenge. And a lot of these archetype themes were really, really present there. And I think as I look back, and it's all done in hindsight, I think a lot of what myself and other people in my generation realize now is that a lot of our appreciation for modern day, even Western film, comes from the fact that we had such kind of a basis in like the old Kung Fu movies of that era. And listen, there is a lot more to, you know, Eastern film than Kung Fu cinema. Yes, but that is what I grew up on, to be honest. And it wasn't until later that I developed other appreciations. But as I look back on it, it was incredibly valuable in laying the basis and foundation for how I understand and interact with Western and modern films today. So I don't know, maybe I'm reading a little bit too much into it, but I think it really goes that deep. Anyway, guys, what do you think about that? How much influence do you feel like stuff like that had on you and your movie fandom life? Jump on down to the comments section below and let us know your thoughts. Thanks again, Leo, for sending in the question, for the support. And guys, that will do it for me for now. Thanks a lot for being here. My name's John Campea, and until the next video, bye-bye.